to you about a sector that is probably the most important sector for all of us. We all need it every day, and we only need more of it. I want to talk about a sector that is challenged, and is probably the biggest challenge of our generation. If we don't solve it, we're in a bad place. But I also want to talk to you about a sector that is probably the biggest opportunity of our generation. If we can solve it, there's huge economic and business gains. Of course, I'm talking about agriculture. Food is life. We all depend on it. There are in total about 2 billion people daily dependent on their income of growing food. In many countries in Africa, between 20 and 80% of the people are employed in agriculture. In GDP, it's about 20 to 40%. It's the most important economic sector in the world. Currently, we have about 7 billion people to feed. And by the time I'm 82, yes, I'm 42 now, so in 4 years' time, we will have 9.6 billion people to feed. In the same period of time, the global GDP, the global economy, will have tripled. And that means that, smart people have calculated it, we need to increase our food production with 70 to 100% in 4 years' time. To put this in perspective, in the next 4 years' time, we need to produce more food than the last 6,000 years combined. At the same time, agriculture is by far the most unsustainable sector in the world. It's the largest user of fresh water, about 70% of global use. It's the biggest user of chemicals. It's the biggest driver for deforestation, loss of biodiversity, child labor, slavery, everything that we don't want, everything that we try to avoid happens on the biggest scale imaginable in agriculture. Now, personally, I find that fascinating. How come the most important sector in the world, we all depend on it, we cannot live without a day, we cannot live or survive a day without it, is not leading to prosperity, is not leading to economic development, but is leading to all the things that we don't want on the biggest scale possible. Apparently it's systemic. Apparently the way we people, it's not God given, it's man-made, apparently the way we have organized agriculture, production and trade leads to unsustainable behavior. And so we have 1 generation time, we need to drastically change agriculture. I've been doing that my whole life. For about 15 or 20 years I've been working in agriculture, creating certification programs, changing value chains. Until this day, I'm very active in this field. One of the biggest problems in changing it is that we don't invest in it. Banks are not lending out money to farmers. We don't invest in it. So how do we expect farmers to modernize? How do we expect farmers to increase their productivity in a sustainable way? We need to solve this challenge. Why are banks not investing in agriculture? Why are they not lending out? That was a challenge or a question I asked myself in 2007. We talked to many banks, NGOs, farmers, and it turns out there are many reasons. Well, let me tell you. First of all, banks, they have plenty of alternatives. Why should they invest in agriculture? And by the way, the farmers are 600 kilometers away. There's a huge physical distance gap between them. There's a trust gap. They don't trust each other. There's a language gap. There's an information gap. There's no collateral. We're not talking about $5 million, but perhaps the cooperative needs 50,000. So I'm pretty sure the banks say, you know what, why bother? And so how to solve this? And when I learned this, I thought, wait a minute. Not knowing where the business case is, having to bridge the gap, isn't that rating? Isn't that credit rating? The tool already exists for 350 years and it's applied in every economy over the world, but it is not applied in agriculture. So 4 years ago we started as the first in the world to apply credit rating for farmers. Of course, first we had to learn how do you rate a farmer because it doesn't exist. And then we had to learn how do you do it so cost efficiently that it actually makes economic sense for cooperatives to become rated. And so we can link those profiles to banks through a web-based system, reducing costs, introducing 10, 50, 100, 500 rated cooperatives to a group of banks who have been trained to understand agriculture. And so here they are, the banks. They can download the information, they can look if this fits their risk profile, call them and make a deal. And you know what? If they don't do it, their competitor will. So now suddenly we have banks fighting over each other to get preferred access to this information. That same information that we are using or that we're gathering through this assessment is channeled back to the farmers and the capacity builders that work with the farmers. And so we know their strengths and we know their weaknesses. And so now we can create a better infrastructure that will help cooperatives to become a better business. And now we have created an engine. Capacity builders deliver bankable POs, producer organizations. We rate them and we deliver them to banks. Banks with lower costs and all the information available can call them and do a business. It's a long-term strategy, but it's a market-driven strategy, and we are not an NGO, we are a business. Our intention is to become profitable. We are not yet there, but we want to be in a couple of years' time. Currently, we have large programs in Kenya, we have an office in Guatemala, and we have done already a couple of hundreds of ratings. And of course, it's not an easy business. We're all alone, up against a sector that doesn't exist, with a tool that nobody knows, in Africa, in agriculture, as a social enterprise. It's not easy. We need help, and that's why I'm here. I'm very honored to be an Ashoka Fellow, and I'm calling out to people like yourself, very well connected people, influential people, powerful people. We need support in thinking through the business model. How does our organizational develop? Funding, there's enormous costs involved to pull everybody together and get banks to understand agriculture to understand banking, governments to think through their policies. This is huge upfront investments, which we are currently doing by ourselves, and we're a very small organization. We need funding, we need investors, and we need banks. I'm here, I'm Dutch, but I'm here in the financial sector of Europe, or perhaps even the world. I'm calling out for banks to see if they can help me think through the technology and the business model that we're trying to develop. Thank you very much for your attention.